Stepping into my office at the San Francisco University's science department, the morning sun streamed through the large window, highlighting the stacks of books and research papers on my desk. A cup of vibrant green herbal tea sat ready, emanating an odd, unfamiliar scent, definitely not the usual lemon or mint I preferred. He, Mark, my husband of over 5 years, leaned casually against the doorframe, a knowing smile on his face, yet his eyes were strangely empty, devoid of any warmth. My closest friend, Rachel, sat across the desk, idly scrolling on her tablet, her gaze sharp as it flickered towards me. I had learned to trust my gut after months of strange incidents and accidental illnesses that seemed to conveniently strike at crucial moments in my academy. Career, I calmly lifted the cup, pretending to savor the aroma, my mind racing, preparing for a move only I knew was coming. My life, as Emma, once felt like a perfectly composed symphony. As a university lecturer, I had built a commendable career at a prestigious San Francisco institution. I was a passionate scientist, dedicated to uncovering new knowledge and inspiring it in generations of students. Every lecture, every research project received my utmost dedication. I had garnered numerous awards, acknowledged as a leading scientist in my field. I prided myself on my ethical approach to research, my unwavering commitment to academic integrity. My most significant work, a groundbreaking biotechnology research project, was on the cusp of a major breakthrough, promising to revolutionize medical treatments. It was a dream I had pursued relentlessly, often burning the midnight oil, pouring my very soul into it. Mark, my husband, was also a researcher at the same university, albeit in a slightly different but related field. He was intelligent, charismatic, and we were once considered an admired power couple within academic circles. We shared an apartment overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, a symbol of the seemingly boundless future we built together. Rachel, my closest friend since graduate school, was also a lecturer in my department. We'd shared countless coffees, late-night study sessions, and celebrated every small victory. She was my confidant, the one I'd share my deepest fears and wildest professional dreams with. I trusted her implicitly, viewing her not just as a colleague, but as family. She knew the ins and outs of my research project, often offering helpful suggestions, always seeming genuinely invested in my success. But beneath that shimmering surface, tiny cracks had begun to appear, insidious and almost imperceptible at first. It was more than just sporadic fatigue or persistent headaches that fractured my focus. These ailments always seemed to strike at the most inopportune times, the morning of a crucial grant application deadline, the week before a major presentation, or right before a significant research milestone. I frequently had to cancel crucial lectures or miss golden research opportunities because I felt unwell. Mark always seemed sympathetic, meticulously caring for me, brewing herbal teas, preparing light meals. But often, when he thought I wasn't looking, I'd catch a fleeting, almost imperceptible gleam in his eyes, a peculiar satisfaction whenever I succumbed to exhaustion. Rachel was no different. She was always the first to offer advice, always present with a comforting hand, yet her gaze held something unsettling, a hint of something cold beneath the surface. I tried to reassure myself it was just work-related stress, the demanding nature of academia. But my gut told me something was deeply, profoundly wrong. The pattern was too precise, the timing too perfect. I began meticulously documenting the days I felt ill, noting specific symptoms, what I had eaten or drunk beforehand, and who had prepared it or was present. A disturbing, terrifying pattern slowly emerged, and it sent shivers down my spine. The true shock hit me, not like a sudden explosion, but like the slow, agonizing realization of a deep, festering wound. It was the horrifying truth behind my persistent illnesses. They weren't accidental, nor were they due to work stress or the demanding nature of my profession. They were part of a meticulously orchestrated, cold-blooded, and cruel plan designed to systematically dismantle my career and my life. Mark, my husband, the man who vowed to cherish me. And Rachel, the woman I considered my closest friend, my confidant, had conspired to slowly poison me. They used subtle neurotoxins, just enough to keep me constantly fatigued and focused and unable to perform effectively, but not enough to trigger immediate, serious alarm or clear diagnoses from doctors. Their objective was chillingly clear: to incapacitate me, ruin my reputation, so Rachel could seize my professorship in the department, and Mark, consumed by a thirst for power and research grants, would benefit immensely by stealing my work, especially the groundbreaking biotechnology research project that had been the focus of my life's dedication. They coveted my intellectual property, my standing, my very future. The first concrete crack in my naive trust came subtly, almost imperceptibly, one evening. While sorting through some old bills for our shared tax returns, I stumbled upon a bank statement from a joint account I rarely checked, typically managed by Mark. Amidst the usual household expenses, a series of unusual, recurring transactions stood out: small, consistent payments to a chemical supply company I didn't recognize, listed under a vague product code. My stomach churned. Mark was a researcher, yes, but these weren't typical lab supplies. When I casually asked him about it, he brushed it off with a dismissive wave, mumbling something about experimental lab equipment for a new project I'm not ready to discuss. His evasiveness, coupled with a fleeting flicker of irritation in his eyes, set off an immediate internal alarm bell. This was the first tangible clue outside my health issues that something was deeply amiss. The cold dread began to solidify. That same week, Rachel started acting strangely. She'd always been a little dramatic, but now her concern for my health felt almost theatrical. She would accidentally leave her phone unlocked on my desk, revealing a glimpse of a text message exchange between her and Mark. The fragments I saw were chilling. Need to help Emma take a break and reduce her workload. Pressure, or she's burning out. We need to intervene for her own good. They sounded superficially caring, designed to make me believe they were plotting a small, misguided intervention to get me to rest. Perhaps even a minor scheme to temporarily sideline me to take over a specific presentation. Not a sinister plot to poison me, but my gut screamed. It felt off. Their words, seemingly benign, now carried an ominous undertone. This accidental revelation by Rachel, far from assuaging my fears, only deepened my suspicion, pushing me to scrutinize everything, to dig deeper, leading to the crucial next step. The night before the crucial research meeting for that groundbreaking biotechnology project, I experienced a truly unsettling dream. In it, I saw Mark and Rachel, their faces distorted, whispering insidious words into my ear, and I felt my body slowly wither, despite my desperate attempts to fight back. My academic achievements turning to dust. Waking up, a visceral sense of dread and a chilling clarity washed over me. This wasn't just stress, this was a vivid premonition. Fueled by this terrifying dream and the earlier subtle clues, I made a decision. I had already discreetly installed those hidden security cameras in my office and the common areas of the department months ago, a precautionary measure born from vague unease. Now, they were my lifeline. I immediately accessed the footage, my fingers trembling as I fast-forwarded through countless hours of mundane daily activities. Then, it happened. An image, sharp and horrifying, appeared on my screen. Mark, he was stealthily at my desk, his movements furtive, his hand holding a small, unlabeled vial. He carefully squeezed a few drops of clear liquid into the herbal tea that I always kept ready for myself. His eyes, usually so loving, were cold, calculating, devoid of any hesitation or remorse. My breath hitched. And then, Rachel. She appeared moments later, giving Mark a conspiratorial nod, before subtly sprinkling a fine powder into the box of organic cookies I routinely kept for healthy snacks. My blood ran cold. A wave of nausea far worse than any previous illness, washing over me. This wasn't an accident. This was a meticulously planned, calculated conspiracy. I continued to fast forward through other clips, and the horrifying truth unraveled itself with sickening clarity. There were countless instances. Mark accidentally spilling water near my tea kettle, only to then discreetly add something from a hidden dropper. Rachel thoughtfully bringing me a refreshing smoothie after a long lecture, but the camera capturing her carefully dropping a strange, unidentifiable pill into it. I saw them in hushed conversations, their faces close, their gestures animated, followed by Mark handing Rachel small, opaque packets. I even found a clip where they were reviewing a list on a tablet, pointing to specific dates that perfectly matched my severe sick days. Discussing dosage adjustments and effectiveness, my heart shattered into a million pieces. Every minute detail, every small act of kindness I had once embraced out of love and trust, now screamed of their cruel, systematic betrayal. My husband, my best friend. The realization was a physical blow, leaving me breathless and reeling. Yet paradoxically, it hardened my resolve. I meticulously saved every incriminating clip, every screenshot, every piece of data. That fateful morning, at the critical research meeting for the groundbreaking biotechnology project, the herbal tea sat at my usual spot. Its strange aroma, now irrevocably linked to betrayal, made my stomach clench. I looked at Mark, then at Rachel. Their faces betrayed no emotion, but the quick, conspiratorial glances they exchanged spoke volumes, confirming their guilt without a single word. I didn't hesitate. As Rachel set down her tea to grab some documents, I acted swiftly, subtly nudging my chair, creating a small noise and pretending to lose my balance. In the brief, manufactured confusion, I deftly swapped my tea mug with Rachel's. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I exclaimed, straightening myself. "I'm such a klutz sometimes." Rachel waved off my apology with a tight, dismissive smile, completely unaware she had just ingested the very poison intended for me. The trap was set. The meeting continued, and I watched Rachel intently, every nerve ending alert. After just a few sips of the tea, her face began to pale, a sickly greenish tint spreading across her skin. A fine sheen of sweat appeared on her forehead, and she repeatedly massaged her temples, her movements becoming erratic. I recognized those symptoms instantly. They were identical to the debilitating episodes that had plagued me. Rachel struggled to focus on the discussion, her voice growing faint, and her eyes starting to glaze over and focused and distant. Mark looked at Rachel with growing alarm, but said nothing, perhaps still believing she was just tired, or that the dosage was simply hitting her faster than expected. But I knew better. My heart pounded a furious rhythm against my ribs, yet my mind remained chillingly calm and sharp. This was the moment of truth. Suddenly, Rachel clutched her chest, a hacking cough tearing through her. She tried to stand but stumbled, her limbs trembling uncontrollably, and she collapsed to the floor, scattering research papers and knocking over a stack of journals. The crushing sound silenced the entire room. Mark, his face ashen with dawning horror, scrambled to Rachel's side. "Rachel, what's happening?" Rachel struggled to speak, only managing faint groans, her body racked with involuntary tremors. And no, not good. Her eyes, wide with terror and dawning realization, fixated on the tea mug lying overturned on the floor, its contents seeping into the carpet. The tea. I calmly stepped forward, my backup phone already recording, capturing every agonizing detail. "Perhaps she's having a severe reaction to something in the tea," I stated, my voice eerily steady, devoid of any emotion. "Mark, you prepared this tea, didn't you?" Mark whirled around, his eyes filled with absolute panic, a raw fear finally replacing his usual calculating mask. "And no, that was Emma's tea." His words, a desperate, involuntary confession, echoed clearly in the silent room, a chilling pronouncement of his guilt. Rachel, lying on the floor, her body convulsing, suddenly looked at me with dawning horror and understanding. She finally recognized the poison, the very one they had meticulously designed for me. She had drunk the very thing she and Mark had planned for me. My eyes met hers, and in that agonizing moment, she knew I had everything I needed. They had no idea that my accidental illnesses had not broken me. On the contrary, they had forged an unyielding spirit within me, awakening a fierce survival instinct and a strategic mind I never knew I possessed. I was not one to scream, to lash out, or to cause a public scene in my initial shock. I was a scientist, a researcher, and I knew how to systematically gather irrefutable evidence. How to build a case that was airtight. Months prior, when those debilitating episodes became too frequent, too precise in their timing, to mysteriously linked to the presence of Mark or Rachel, I began meticulously documenting everything. My small notebook, known only to me, became a lifeline. In it, I detailed each day I felt unwell, date, time, specific symptoms, and most importantly, what I had eaten or drunk, who had prepared it, and who was present. I even noted their concerned comments, their feigned sympathies, and the unsettling glints in their eyes. This log wasn't just a record of my suffering, it was a blueprint of their escalating attempts to undermine me. I wasn't foolish enough to dismiss the subtle cues. One time, I accidentally caught Mark discreetly dropping something into my water bottle in the lab. Another time, Rachel innocently dropped a tea bag near my usual herbal tea supply in the faculty lounge, but I noticed a tiny, almost invisible tear in its side. These initially dismissed actions became potent warning signs, compelling me to act. Driven by your gut feeling, I decided to install the smallest, almost invisible, security cameras in my office. Focusing on my beverage preparation area and my desk, I also placed one discreetly at a common area of the faculty lounge where we often had impromptu meetings. I needed concrete proof. Images don't lie, and indeed, the footage exposed their treachery. I watched Mark carefully squeeze a few drops of clear liquid into my tea. I saw Rachel subtly sprinkle a fine powder into the box of cookies I often kept. Every detail, every furtive glance, every calculated move was recorded with undeniable clarity. Beyond the cameras, I discreetly opened a separate bank account, secretly transferring a significant portion of my personally earned assets and intellectual property royalties into it. I needed to secure my future, knowing that my marriage and professional life were on the brink. I contacted an old friend from law school, Sarah, a sharp and experienced lawyer specializing in academic and family disputes. I arranged a private, off-campus meeting. I didn't disclose the full, horrifying reason at first, only stating that I wished to understand my rights regarding my marriage and my professional standing in case of unforeseen circumstances. Sarah was invaluable. She helped me navigate the legal complexities, advising me on how to protect my personal assets and intellectual property, and crucially, how to gather legally admissible evidence. She strongly recommended that I also seek anonymous, confidential medical advice regarding my symptoms. Following Sarah's advice, I covertly sought consultation with a forensic toxicologist specializing in obscure compounds under a pseudonym. I described my symptoms in detail, providing samples of my hair and nails which can store traces of certain substances over time, and even a small, suspicious residue I'd managed to collect from the bottom of my tea mug after one of my episodes. The toxicologist's preliminary findings were chilling. A cocktail of compounds known to induce severe fatigue, cognitive impairment, and gastrointestinal distress. Designed to be slow-acting and difficult to detect, this professional confirmation solidified my belief. It wasn't paranoia, it was poison. This medical insight became a powerful guide, helping me understand exactly what to look for and how to collect samples properly without alerting my attackers. My lawyer also advised me to carry a backup phone. I purchased a new phone with a new number unknown to anyone and used it to record accidental conversations I overheard between Mark and Rachel in hallways, faculty gatherings, and even during casual visits to our apartment. They often assumed I was too fatigued to truly listen, or too trusting to suspect anything beyond their concern. They would drop casual remarks, hinting at giving Emma some time off or allowing Rachel a chance to step up to full professor. In one chilling recording, Rachel's voice was clear, though hushed. "The biotech grant is due next month, Mark. If Emma's incapacitated, that slot's ours. You promised." Mark's reply was equally damning. "Just ensure the dosage is right. We can't risk detection this close to the final phase. We need that patent." These recordings, while not direct confessions of poisoning, were crucial pieces of the puzzle, clearly revealing their malicious intent and their desperate desire for my groundbreaking work. I maintained complete silence, a mask of weary acquiescence. No accusations, no suspicious glances. I wanted them to believe I was weakening, that I was crumbling under the pressure, becoming the perfect victim. They grew overconfident in their scheme, making them careless, more prone to making fatal mistakes. I even deliberately left a seemingly innocuous note on my desk, detailing a fictional crucial meeting with a major potential funder for the biotech project the following week. This subtle manipulation was designed to create a sense of urgency, a pressing need for them to act quickly, pushing them towards their final, fatal misstep. I meticulously observed their reactions to this note, noting their hurried whispers and furtive glances. I knew they would try to act decisively before this meeting. I ensured my usual herbal tea was readily available on my desk, following my routine to perfection. Every time Mark and Rachel intentionally made me ill, every time I felt the agony of my body betraying me, I transformed their contempt and cruelty into fuel for my unwavering resolve. I would not falter. I would not let them destroy everything I had meticulously built. My career, my reputation, my life's work. I would make them pay for every single transgression, every poisoned cup, every stolen opportunity. I was prepared, calm, and silent, the quiet storm, waiting for the opportune moment to unleash my carefully constructed counterattack. That moment arrived when Rachel collapsed on my office floor, having consumed the very poison they had so cruelly intended for me. When Rachel collapsed on my office floor, her body seizing in violent tremors, I remained utterly calm. My hand, steady and unhesitating, had already dialed 911 on my backup phone. My voice was surprisingly even, devoid of the emotion that raged beneath the surface, as I relayed the urgent situation and the precise address of my university office. "She appears to be having a severe reaction to something in her tea," I stated clearly, my eyes never leaving Mark's ashen face. He was scrambling beside Rachel, frantically trying to rouse her. Pure, raw panic etched across his features, a sight that gave me a grim satisfaction. Emergency services and campus security swarmed my office within minutes. As the paramedics swiftly attended to Rachel, I calmly approached the first police officer on the scene, a stern-faced female officer. "I think you should see this," I stated, handing her my meticulously kept health journal, open to the pages detailing my own identical symptoms. "And this," I added, opening my backup phone to display the damning video footage from the hidden security camera in my office. It clearly showed Mark subtly tampering with my tea that morning, and other disturbing clips of their furtive activities. Mark adding liquids to my drinks, Rachel sprinkling powders into my food. Over the past agonizing weeks, the officer's brows furrowed, her expression shifting from initial professional inquiry to stunned disbelief, then to grim determination. At the university hospital, once Rachel was stabilized and placed under close medical observation, a doctor with silver hair and sharp, intelligent eyes, Dr. Evelyn Reed, met with me. She had already reviewed my journal and the video footage provided by the police. "Your friend's symptoms are highly consistent with what you've documented, Ms. Emmer," she stated, her voice professional but grave. "We've found traces of a potent neurotoxic compound in her system. This is absolutely not something that occurs naturally in herbal tea, or anywhere in a university setting for that matter. This substance is designed to induce severe fatigue, cognitive impairment, and physical distress, precisely as you described your own previous episodes. This medical confirmation, delivered by an impartial expert, was the final piece of the puzzle, solidifying the horror of their betrayal. Just then, Mark, having been released from initial questioning by campus security, burst into the room, his face pale and clammy, desperation clinging to him like a shroud. He had clearly overheard parts of the conversation. "Emmer, you have to believe me. It's a misunderstanding. Rachel didn't know anything. She was just following my instructions." His words, meant to absolve Rachel, only damned himself further. I met his frantic gaze with a cold and wavering stare. "She didn't know anything? She's the one who subtly sprinkled powder into my cookie box last month, isn't she? Or have you forgotten I installed security cameras in my office?" Mark froze, his face drained of all color, the blood visibly receding from his features. The mention of the cameras was a direct hit. He knew I had the proof. Dr. Reed, sensing the escalating tension, immediately requested hospital security escort Mark out for further questioning, directing them to hold him pending police arrival. She then informed me that she would be filing a full report with the police, specifically detailing the deliberate poisoning. Not long after, Detective Isabella Rossi, a woman with a calm demeanor but piercing, intelligent eyes, arrived. She was known for her meticulous approach to complex cases, especially those involving domestic abuse or professional misconduct. I provided her with all my meticulously gathered evidence, my detailed health journal spanning months, the incriminating security camera footage showing both Mark and Rachel in the act of tampering with my food and drinks, and the crucial audio recordings from my backup phone. In those recordings, Mark and Rachel discussed their insidious plan in chilling detail, talking about weakening Emma to take control of key research projects and securing the professorship. Detective Rossi listened intently, her expression hardening with each piece of evidence. "Ms. Emmer, this evidence is extremely compelling," she stated. "This isn't merely an internal academic dispute. It's a deliberate act of grievous bodily harm and potentially a sophisticated conspiracy to defraud you of your intellectual property and position." She immediately secured search warrants for Mark's home in his university office, and I was prepared, having secretly cataloged the precise locations where I had seen him store suspicious files. I also promptly filed for divorce, citing intentional harm and betrayal as grounds. Furthermore, I initiated a comprehensive lawsuit against Rachel for intentional infliction of bodily harm and obstruction of scientific research, a move that would not only seek justice, but also protect my intellectual property. The investigation progressed swiftly, almost shockingly so, given the overwhelming evidence. From Mark's home, police discovered a hidden compartment containing several small, unlabeled vials of chemicals, along with meticulously handwritten notes detailing dosages and reactions on test subjects. Sickeningly, referring to me, there were also documents indicating Mark's attempts to surreptitiously alter the intellectual property rights for my groundbreaking biotechnology research project, attempting to transfer ownership to himself and Rachel during my periods of prolonged illness. This was the truly chilling twist. Their ambition wasn't just to sideline me, it was to outright steal my life's work. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Rachel, under the lingering effects of the neurotoxin and facing mounting pressure from Detective Rossi, finally cracked. She confessed the entire scheme. In a desperate attempt to mitigate her own culpability, she completely implicated Mark as the primary mastermind, claiming he was the one who sourced the harmful substances and meticulously planned each episode to remove me from my critical research endeavors. She revealed that Mark had racked up significant gambling debts, and seizing my research and professorship was his desperate solution. In turn, when confronted with Rachel's confession, Mark vehemently denied being the sole instigator, attempting to shift blame entirely onto Rachel. He claimed Rachel had harbored a deep-seated professional jealousy towards me for years, for beyond mere academic rivalry. even dating back to our graduate school days, and that she had been the one pushing for increasingly aggressive tactics. She always wanted what Emma had, he pleaded. The recognition, the grants, the publications. She said this was the only way to get ahead. This bitter, public finger-pointing between them only served to provide further, undeniable proof of their shared guilt and their deeply toxic characters. They were betraying each other as readily as they had betrayed me. The university administration, initially attempting to contain the scandal to protect its reputation, was left with no choice but to cooperate fully with the police in the face of such damning, irrefutable evidence. Some colleagues, who had initially dismissed my symptoms as stress or overwork, perhaps even subtly implying I was overreacting or unstable, were forced to confront the horrifying truth. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to shock, then to profound remorse and support. Mark and Rachel were arrested right there at the hospital, their faces a mask of terror and disbelief as the handcuffs clicked into place. As I watched them being led away, their carefully constructed facades crumbling, I felt no elation, no sense of vindictive triumph, only an immense, profound sense of relief. Finally, the truth had been laid bare, exposed for all to see. The trial, a grueling 3 months later, felt like an eternity compressed into a single, painful moment. I sat in the courtroom each day, observing as the prosecution methodically built their case against Mark and Rachel. The evidence was overwhelming. The vials found in Mark's possession, their detailed notes on each poisoning attempt, the recorded conversations and text messages discussing their insidious plans, and the expert testimony regarding the neurotoxins. Dr. Evelyn Reed's testimony was particularly damning. She presented a comprehensive analysis showing how they had gradually increased the dosages over time, demonstrating a clear intent to cause serious, even potentially fatal, harm. The pharmaceutical company representative confirmed that Mark had illegally obtained the compounds through a former colleague who worked in their research department, bypassing ethical guidelines. My own testimony was the most difficult, yet perhaps the most powerful. I described my slow descent into debilitating illness, the constant fatigue, the mental fog that stole my ability to think clearly, the crushing disappointment of missed opportunities, and the horrifying realization that the people closest to me were systematically destroying my life. My voice remained steady, my composure unwavering, a stark contrast to the defendant's desperate, often contradictory, attempts at justification. They tried to plead that they only wanted to help me reduce stress and ensure I had time off. But the overwhelming physical evidence, the video recordings, the expert medical testimony, and their own conflicting confessions utterly demolished their feeble defense. The jury returned a unanimous verdict. Both Mark and Rachel were found guilty on multiple counts, including attempted murder, conspiracy, and grand larceny involving intellectual property. The judge's words, delivered with solemn gravity, echoed through the silent courtroom. The premeditated nature of these actions, carried out against a spouse and a trusted colleague over an extended period, involving the systematic poisoning and attempted theft of groundbreaking intellectual property, demands the maximum sentence. I watched as they were led away in handcuffs, their faces contorted with pure despair, thinking about how greed, professional jealousy, and a chilling disregard for human life had twisted to people I once trusted into something utterly unrecognizable. Their careers, their reputations, their freedom, all irrevocably sacrificed in a desperate and ultimately futile attempt to destroy me and steal my life's work. 1 year after the trial concluded, I stood at the podium of the International Scientific Conference, held at a prestigious convention center in San Francisco. The stage lights illuminated me warmly, and I gazed out at hundreds of faces, fellow scientists, renowned lecturers, and eager students, all listening attentively. My heart swelled with a profound sense of peace and strength, a triumph forged in the crucible of unimaginable betrayal. The lawsuit and the divorce had been grueling, taking a heavy emotional and physical toll. But they had also given me something invaluable, a profound clarity and an Emmer who was stronger, more resilient, and more focused than ever before. With the substantial settlement from the lawsuit and my intellectual property legally secured and protected, I not only maintained my position, but was also promoted to full professor and appointed head of the Department of Biological Sciences. This was a position Rachel had so desperately coveted, a bitter irony that I now embraced with a quiet satisfaction. I plunged back into my work with renewed vigor, leading numerous new, significant research projects. The groundbreaking biotechnology research project, the very catalyst for their malevolent scheme, had truly taken flight under my unburdened leadership. Our findings were not just incremental. They were revolutionary, promising to redefine medical treatments and bringing significant advancements to the global scientific community. The university, keen to restore its image and genuinely recognizing my resilience and brilliance, lavished me with prestigious awards, recognizing me as a leading scientist not just in California, but across the nation and even internationally. My name, once whispered in hushed tones of pity, was now spoken with admiration and respect. My story, one of overcoming profound betrayal to achieve soaring success, resonated deeply and widely, inspiring countless individuals, especially women, in the sciences. I was now frequently invited to speak at scientific symposiums and universities across the globe, sharing my experiences not just about cutting-edge research, but about navigating adversity, the critical importance of resilience, and unwavering self-worth. My lectures weren't just about data and discoveries. They were powerful narratives of empowerment, of personal triumph over the darkest forms of treachery. I spoke openly about the need for academic integrity, the subtle signs of manipulation, and the vital importance of protecting one's intellectual property and mental well-being. I invested heavily in my department, implementing new mentorship programs for young female scientists, ensuring they had the support and resources I had to fight for. I established a fund for ethical research practices, a direct response to the betrayal I had faced. My office became a sanctuary for students and colleagues seeking advice, not just on academics, but on navigating the often complex dynamics of professional relationships. My personal life also found a new rhythm. The quiet solitude was no longer a symbol of loneliness, but a peace and self-discovery. I reconnected with old friends outside of academia, took up hiking, and found solace in the vast beauty of nature. The need to prove myself had vanished, replaced by a genuine desire to contribute meaningfully to science and to empower others. As for Mark and Rachel, their lives had utterly collapsed into an abyss of disgrace. News of their trial and conviction, amplified by the sensational nature of the poison tea scandal, spread rapidly throughout academic circles and beyond. They were stripped of their professional licenses, their academic degrees tainted, their reputation shattered beyond repair. No university, no research institution, no reputable organization would ever consider them. I heard whispers through various channels. For a time, Mark was reduced to performing menial labor to survive, his once charismatic demeanor replaced by a haunted, broken shell. Rachel, I heard, had completely vanished from public life, reportedly struggling with profound mental health issues and ostracized by former colleagues and friends. Occasionally, I would receive desperate, often incoherent messages from Mark, smuggled from prison, belated apologies, rambling expressions of remorse, begging for a second chance, for my help, for a sign of forgiveness. Rachel's attempts were more cunning. A manipulative letter outlining how she had been forced by Mark, trying to elicit sympathy, but I never responded. I had learned that sometimes true forgiveness isn't about allowing toxic individuals back into your life. It's about liberating yourself from the chains of their past actions, choosing your own peace over their lingering presence. My thriving success, my renewed purpose, my profound impact on the scientific community. This was the most eloquent and undeniable proof of their catastrophic failure. It was my living, breathing testimony to justice served, a triumph more potent than any direct confrontation. Every morning, as I looked out at the vibrant university campus from the large window of my thriving office, I was filled with immense gratitude for the second chance life had given me. I had not merely survived the storm, I had transformed it. I had rebuilt my life, not on a foundation of vengeance, but on growth, resilience, and unwavering self-respect. I had not only endured, I had risen, stronger, more brilliant, and more profoundly impactful than I ever thought possible. I still keep a certified copy of the court's verdict, a thick sheaf of legal documents, in a locked drawer of my desk. It's not displayed prominently, nor is it a daily reminder I dwell on. It's not there to stir hatred or pain, but as a constant, quiet anchor. It's a profound reminder that betrayed trust, when faced with courage and strategy, can be transmuted into an extraordinary source of power. It reminds me of the cold dread of that morning, of the precise moment I swapped the tea cups, of the unwavering intuition that not only saved my life, but propelled me towards a future I might never have dared to envision. My success today ain't merely the fruit of my relentless effort and academic passion. It is the sweetest revenge, sullen and more potent than any scream, any accusation, any spoken word could ever be. It is the undeniable proof that genuine achievement, built on integrity, far surpasses any ill-gotten gain. Through my story, I wish to convey a powerful and essential message to all women out there, especially those navigating competitive professional landscapes or complex personal relationships. Always listen to your gut instinct. It is your most reliable compass, your inner sentinel. Never dismiss the small, seemingly insignificant red flags. Those tiny whispers of doubt or moments of unease, they're often the first warnings of lurking danger. Protect yourself fiercely and proactively, both emotionally and financially. Building financial independence isn't just a career goal, it's a fundamental shield, an ultimate ticket to autonomy and freedom. Have your own assets, your own bank accounts, and a meticulously crafted contingency plan for when life unexpectedly throws you a devastating curveball. And most importantly, never, ever allow anyone, no matter how deeply you love or trust them, to diminish your worth, to undermine your capabilities, or to steal your light. If you feel manipulated, belittled, disrespected, or systematically targeted, do not suffer in silence. Seek help, whether it's from legal professionals, mental health experts, or trusted mentors. Gather evidence, meticulously and strategically, because facts are your most potent weapon. And then, when the time is right, fight for yourself with unwavering resolve. Remember, perceived weakness is merely a temporary facade. Beneath it, within every woman, lies an extraordinary wellspring of strength, an unparalleled capacity for resilience, and an indomitable ability to rise from the ashes, transformed and triumphant. I continue to dedicate myself to groundbreaking scientific research, not just to uncover new knowledge and push the boundaries of what's possible, but also to build a lasting legacy, a profound mark of both unwavering talent and unyielding resilience. I am actively expanding my research projects, collaborating with leading international institutions, and establishing new mentorship programs specifically designed to support and empower young women in STEM fields. I hope my story will serve as a beacon, a source of unwavering encouragement for the next generation of female scientists and leaders, inspiring them to always stand firm, to be fiercely confident in their abilities, and to continuously strive for excellence, knowing that even the deepest betrayals can be transformed into the foundations of unimaginable strength and success. If my story has resonated with you, if it has stirred something within your own experiences, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced a profound betrayal? And how did you navigate that challenging path? How did you reclaim your power and rebuild your life? Share your journey, because every story shared is a powerful source of collective strength, a beacon of inspiration for other women who might be struggling in silence. Let's continue to build a community where we can support, uplift, and empower one another, forging a future where betrayal cannot break us, but only makes us stronger.